members. And you know what? You can come visit us, and I will share a screen with you ever so shortly if you're looking from the outside in and you want to join us at this session. Uh, this is the Phoenix Business Exchange East End edition. And I'm going to share a screen and, hang on, we're going to swing on and turn on the little lights. Here come the lights. And beginning of the roadshow, member of the week is Eric Perrault. He's out of the South Group. And you want to find out about what Eric does, click on the video or check out his e-card. The e-cards are really handy, by the way. That's a benefit of being a Phoenix member. You get an e-card. And if you notice the QR code over my shoulder, that will instantly bring you to a link, and that link has all my contact details. It's the same for all of us. We'll have a little video clip and best ways to reach us. And it makes it easier, it takes away the friction, and that's very handy in business. Monday mornings, 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. If you're so interested, come into the Bill's Corners group. Obviously, today we're in the East End edition, 8 to 9 Eastern for this group. Thursday mornings typically is 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time this week, and usually at the end of the month. And same for Wednesday, also has a similar setup. But this week, Thursday, it's actually at 7:30 and in person and on Zoom at River Lounge. Well, we've had that. That was last night, and we had a good blast. It's staying accountable, and Penny Lee was the leader in that one. She leads that group. And it's about staying on target with your goals and what are they? And you have the goals, you know what you need to do. It's more of an encouragement session. All right. Upcoming member events. So this is something that Kat Hurd updates on a regular basis. And if any of the members here have something coming up, let Kat know. She'll pipe it in there. Canada Growth Network every Monday, 1 to 2 Eastern, free to attend. We have different guest speakers coming in, and it's a mixed bag. We have Carl Richards, who's spoken of that about 2 weeks ago, and you're more than welcome to roll in, no cost. East Trade Winds, 8 to 9 Eastern. Also free to attend. Guest speakers, get to meet people. That's where Kat met Tony, and Tony met Kat. And, Jacqueline's been there too, and she's met a lot of interesting folk like Jojo Lauricia. If you don't know who Jojo is, she's a powerhouse and she does video. East End at Hive on Zoom and in person on May 20th at 7:30 p.m. So remember, I was telling you that we do these things once a month. Well, on the 20th of May, we're doing it at Hive. Come on in, have a great breakfast. All right. And again, reminder, River Lounge 30th. That's tomorrow. Here's somebody talking today, and you go, hey, I want more of that. I want to talk to that person. I want to know more about what they're offering. Click on that, and you'll find the list of folks that are in that space. 180 times people have used that e-card link. And so if you are marketing yourself, you have that link embedded in your social media, it'll provide that quick, easy contact information all in one spot. How much business is done between members since 2016? Over $5 million worth of business just between the members. Okay. And that's us purchasing services, etc. Why does that happen? Because we trust the people we're with. And sometimes they may not be the cheapest, but the quality is there. And sometimes they're really good at what they do. And, Sam's is going to be doing the motivational minute or the educational minute this morning. And, Sam has some great services, and he gives great advice on automotive components and does brakes and tires. Overall referrals that have been done year to date from this year, 21,000. Actually, it's almost 22,000, just on the edge, right? And we're at the end, hitting the end of this month. And so I just remind members to send in their stats to Tony. And speaking of Mr. Sam, I'm going to swing the mic over to Sam. Sam, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. For a change, I'm going to talk about cars. One thing I do as a service is clean cars. And if you haven't noticed, in Canada, we use a fair bit of salt on our roads. And unfortunately, often that salt ends up inside our cars and it starts to accumulate, especially on the driver's side. If you haven't noticed, these white crystals begin to form all around your floor mats and your rug of the car. What I would recommend is not to leave that for very long, because what happens is that crystal salt gets into the rug and it gets like a permanent crust builds up. I had a customer not so long ago. He has a, I think a Soul, is it Kia Soul? And it must be at least, I'd say, at least an inch off his rug now, a buildup of salt. I would recommend that you don't do that. If you do, I recommend it to him, and I can pass it along to you. Is you take a small hammer and you start bashing that salt, and believe it or not, it starts to break up. If you don't do that, and if you try and use something like a metal scrub brush, you will destroy the rug in your car. So I highly recommend that you take care of that salt as soon as you can. You see it in the spring, like I did in my car, and you get it cleaned out as soon as possible. Or, as Tony just said, pound it out with break it up with a hammer if you can. To start breaking up that salt as soon as possible, because it'll get permanent build up in your rug and destroy the floor in your car. That's it for me. Back to you, Bernie.
So
Sam,
don't
tell
add
me.
water because water and salt, I guess they don't mix, eh? You don't wash it off, you have
Well,
to bang it.
they do
Uh,
mix. They just spread the salt everywhere.
Yeah, that's it.
water will when the salt builds up like that, water will just it take forever. I have a steamer that I use now to break it up in the car. It helps. So steamer if you can get it really hot, but just don't let it build up like that. Get it cleaned out as soon as you can.
Good foot scratcher. Just kidding. He shouldn't be driving barefoot in the first place. LinkedIn Live, we are there, and that is the post for LinkedIn Live. And now we're going to do a quick round robin of, hey, what's going on in your week? BAMs, referrals, good things like that. I'm going to start off with Jacqueline and then swing over to Sam. Jacqueline, what's happening?
Sorry, I needed to unmute. I know. So it was all about the salt, Sam. It was about the salt. I need a hammer and I need to pound it out. And it's interesting that you say that. As I take a breath and I lift my shoulders, I take them back and I drop them down. And I know that I need to hold on with both hands onto that hammer so that I'm in control of that hammer so I can make that work for me and for my rug. And oh my gosh, for my car. My blueberry would be absolutely delighted if Mama, me, took care of that. I see it all day long. And I think when I come to these sort of conversations, I'm amazed at how much information I get. So it's not just about salt and clean out the car. People who are thinking about their mortgages are feeling the same way. What does my interior look like? What does my exterior look like? What do I need to do? Am I looking to do renovations? Am I looking to refinance? That is the drama that they may think they're having. And they want to pick up that call of that phone, not a hammer, just the phone. Call Jacqueline because she might be able to help me out with these questions. When they're looking for strategies for their mortgage money, they know they need to contact their mortgage honey. Thank you so much, Sam, for that. And I need to thank, as usual, um, Susan Ebbs for having the Melaleuca products because that was very incredibly helpful for my grandson to have the cream that he was looking for. And thank you, East Trade Winds. Wow, that was a good one yesterday. Thank you. And I'm very much looking forward to my Friday with Tony. Ciao for now.
Jacqueline, our pleasure to have you there. And speaking of East Trade Winds, next week is Mitch Weisberg. He's going to be talking about mind shifting and getting into that space. He's an educator. Fascinating gentleman. Mr. Sam, over to you, and then Susan McGarry. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you again, Bernie. Sam Stores Connected Cars. My contact information is in the chat. Dash cameras are my main thing. That's why I call myself Dash Cam Sam. But also do minor repairs, oil changes, brake jobs, and well, I'm doing lots of tires. I even got some customers this week. I got two today actually, putting tires on cars, I should say. Besides that, it's coming up car cleaning season, and I already talked to Wendy about that. I'm going to be doing her car in the future. I don't have a date yet, but pretty soon, I hope. Let's see here. One thing I'm going to pass along this week, I mentioned it on Monday if you were there. what's called a CVT transmission, continuous variable transmission. These are common in cars in the last 10 years, and unfortunately, they are fraught with problems. So if you have a car that's been built in the last 10 years, it more than likely has one of these transmissions. And I would highly recommend that you get it serviced, meaning it gets checked out to make sure that it's running properly, and change the transmission oil in it, because it can tell a lot about that transmission. And if there's a problem, you want to get back to that manufacturer as soon as possible, cover your warranty, because it's thousands of dollars to replace one of those things. And unfortunately, like I say, there's a lot of problems with them, with cars built in the last 10 years. Let's see here, BAMS wise. Oh yes, I was at the Hive last week. Bernie did a presentation, and it was quite well done. There actually, I think there were six
Thank you.
people there live to watch that, and also some people online. Let's see, Wendy, I mentioned we're going to do some cleaning in her car, and Norm, I've been speaking to Norm about getting some inserts put in our front window of our door and the side window in front of our house. Some fancy stained glass type design, and my wife and I are arguing over what design we want to use. So sooner or later we'll agree to, I'll probably give in to her probably, but who knows? We'll see. That's it for me, Sam Sturris, ConnectedCars.ca, today's mobile electronics without the cost of a new vehicle, and lots more.
Today, Mr. Carl Richards has has an event coming up. The Podcast Lines Quarterly Meetup and Mastermind. It starts at 11, ends at 1, and the link is in the chat. Miss Susan McGarry. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning. Yeah, Sam, I highly recommend you just give in. You'll have a great next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I assure you. Susan with Pure Trim. I work with a company called Pure Trim. I'm working with Kat right now to trademark myself with my own company name, which is Best You by Design. And the reason for that is because Pure Trim addresses the inside of your body. We don't use a hammer quite aggressively, but we do use a gentle cleansing solution with natural Mediterranean herbs and supplements. So if you want to overcome joint muscle pain, you're looking for more energy, maybe you want to do a liver cleanse, a parasite cleanse, reach out to me if there's anyone that you know that's looking to do this. I can certainly help them. And Kat reminded me to mention that today, last day, when you buy 3 of these serums, and I did get your message, Wendy, thank you. When you buy 3, you get 2 absolutely free. That's an online special only. And what I love about the Pure Garden serum, it's scored 100% on Yuka USA. So if anyone's familiar, that's very, very difficult to get 100% with that app. They scrutinize and look at ingredients and determine if it's got any chemicals or additives. This is so organic. My dog has gotten into a jar and ate the whole thing. It's okay because it's safe, thank goodness. So Susan with Pure Trim. I don't have any BAMs to report, but I am working on Eric, who's right now heavy duty in tax season. That's probably why he's not here, but I am going to be popping by his place on Monday. And I'm looking forward to Tony biking out to Calibogie one nice, beautiful day. Be safe out there, though. Those roads, oh my God, some drivers, I tell you. Huh. And finally, I'm super excited. I went into Hive this week and I got to meet the lovely lady. The name, it's
Sagan? Sagan or
Sagan. Thank you. Yes, Sagan, yes. That is a very cool setup, I have to say. So I'll be doing my first health and wellness seminar May 20th, like Bernie. And I've already got 4 people coming, so I've got lots of time to build it up. Thank you, Kat, for all your help with that. She streamlined that and made that all happen. And what really blew me away was that podcast room. So your girl might be taking advantage of that podcast room. So with that, back to you, Bernie. Thank
well, that's perfect. And Susan, enjoy. You'll like the podcast room. They'll set it up and help you get set up, and you can turn lights on and off. Anyhow, I digressed. I got to stop that. Next thing I know, the recipe is. So Next Monday, the Power Hour. It's Thea Newcomb that's going to be presenting, and she's a Canva trainer, so she works with Canva. So free advice. Come on in. I'm going to go to Tony and then Kat. Tony, over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bernie. Hi, everybody. Tony Jennis from Higher Self. I'm the spirit guy of the group. I am a medium, clairvoyant. I work on getting readings for people, and then we can also balance things off with a tuning session. In my case, I use tuning forks, special frequencies that just align the body. And we're also looking at expanding our crystal line. So we've been doing that. We've got over 100 different types of crystals in either bracelets or stone of some kind that you can wear in your pocket or your purse or have beside your bedside table. One of the ones that I talked about a couple of weeks ago was the copper. Copper itself is an anti-inflammatory cream. This is pure copper. When you first get it, it's very shiny and everything, but after a while, as soon as your skin starts breaking it down, it turns more of a matte finish, and then that's when the copper really takes hold. It's great for increasing your circulation and energy and so on. And our newest product that we're going to be launching very soon is the combination of copper and magnets. We are electromagnetic beings, and so when we sort of get off, we have those days where we were feeling off a little bit. It's your electromagnetic is off that way. So when you wear a magnet in a wrist or whatever, it sort of brings that together. So you have more energy, your circulation's a lot better, and grounding is amazing. You just feel more grounded. And so these are really doing well. I haven't even launched it yet. We've already sold two just by mentioning it to a couple of clients. And so they're wonderful as a gift. And it's mostly targeting men because it comes in 6 sizes, from the smallest one to triple X. And we make it here ourselves. So we keep the cost down. We have more control over the sizing, and we can get you exactly what you need. You just need the circumference of your wrist to size it properly. So that's what we're working on, so that this way people can get aligned between tunings or between the times that they come and see me. And we're raising your spirits, and we have which is giving some business to Josh, ongoing business there. Eric, of course, he's working on 2 of our programs there. Did a band with Sandy Beno. She's our pet whisperer. Susan McGarry, I'll come and see you. I think you said everything is in that we ordered, so looking forward to that. That cream, the Pure Trim, the one that you just showed. Do you have any of that in stock? I'll probably pick one of them up as well. I forgot about that. Went to East Tradewind in Bernie's case, and my wife is still working with Shane to get her knee back, but she's getting much better. We call it the ouch ah. Ouch on the day, and the next day, this is much better. So, okay, back to you, Bernie.
Tony, thank you so much. And the next quick prompt here is, if you have a special event, let Kat know. She'll leverage the social media power of the Phoenix Business Exchange social media network to push out content. And speaking of Kat, over to you, ma'am.
How many of you in the last week have sold a product or a service to one or more people? I was going to say, Wendy, you've just sold a house. You must have. So how many of you then went and spoke to those clients and said, hey, I'm glad I was able to give you a brilliant service. Can you leave me a testimonial? Because I bet you didn't all do it. So if you're not doing it, get on it. Get video testimonials, get Google reviews, get LinkedIn reviews, Glassdoor, whatever it is you use. Get those reviews, get them out on social media, get them on your website, and tell the world how amazing you are. And in terms of BAMs, I'm going to start with Wendy. So Thank you for your fantastic education you gave me, not only on real estate, but on Costa Rica and on golf. So that worked for me because I was clueless. And of course, Susan. I love chatting with Susan, and she gives me obviously fantastic health advice. She gives me fantastic products that I can use to treat my aches and pains, but she always makes me laugh. So thank you so much. Back to you, Bernie.
Yeah, perfect. And for myself, details are in the chat. One thing to draw your attention to, if you go to the blog post, so it's blog.knackforbusiness.com, and you'll find the actually all the speakers from this week. They're already been posted. They're in the system, so everything's been worked on and produced. So content's out there. Um, Thank you, Jacqueline, Tony, and Carl for attending the East Trade Winds. It's perfect. Working on Carl with a project regarding in the podcast space. What else is in the go? Well, I think that's enough. I think I've been in enough trouble as it is. I think I'm going to swing the mic over to Wendy Chung because Wendy is our speaker. Wendy, over to you, ma'am.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. So my name is Wendy Chung. I'm the real estate broker of the group. And I want to touch on a topic that touches all of our hearts and our lives, and that is integrity. Integrity not only in business, but also in the way you conduct yourself through life and through your relationships. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get started.
And
Can everyone see my screen?
you're perfect. Go for it.
Excellent. Thank you. So integrity is one of those traits that I believe we should all have, whether it's in business or in your personal life. And I got to say that in the past little while, I've been seeing a lack of integrity with some of my colleagues in the business. And for that reason, I wanted to touch on this topic. So as you know, I've been in the business for about 18 years now, and I can proudly say that I'm very blessed to have found this career and also continue to build strong relationships with clients. So in doing so, I'm learning that not all realtors operate with the same standards, even though we do have a code of ethics that we are supposed to follow. I'm also finding in the last little while, like in the last 5 years, there's been a lot of people who have become licensed. And I guess, it's not a license just to get rich, but in my opinion, it's more of a license to help people to reach their goals and to solve their housing challenges. So what is integrity? Integrity is just doing the right thing when no one's watching. We have to be accountable, and we have to look at ourselves in the mirror every day. So you want to do the right thing. If you're going to promise something, you need to follow through with that. So being honest, transparent, and accountable is a very important trait, not only in real estate, but in all fields. I think we can all agree. And putting your client needs above your own personal gains. Now, real estate, don't get me wrong, it's an incredible business. It is not a job, but it is a business. And recently, I have spoken to one of my clients who I have known maybe for the last, 8 to 10 years. I help them buy and sell. And unfortunately, one of them has been demoted at the company for no particular reason, only because the company is restructuring. And as we see this happen more and more in today's arena, we see that people are having to rethink, what they want to do for a living. So this particular person is very, very good with customer service. And not only is he an incredible human being, but he's also really good with helping people. in the line of business that he's in right now. So I feel that he's going to make a really good fit for the industry. In fact, I've already offered to mentor him so that I can see him grow, not only as an individual, but also in a professional field, which I think will solve some of the financial issues that his family is facing right now. So I'm very excited about that. Again, putting client needs above your personal gains is a very important part of this business, and protecting trust in every interaction that you have. Now, why does integrity matter? Well, it matters because as a human being, we should be continuing to build long-term relationships, not only with clients, but also personal relationships as well. Protect clients from poor decisions. You know, we're all in business, all of us here this morning, you know, we're all about helping other people. So what we want to do is we want to help people to make the better decisions by presenting them the information, allowing them to make their best choices. And that also leads to repeat and referral business, which is how we grow our business. It also strengthens the reputation of our industry. So the transactional realtor is very interesting. When I started in real estate, I was referred to an agent who was a transactional realtor. And what that means is he was really more focused on just closing deals. He had very little interest in getting to know me and what my concerns were. And there was very little follow-up, you know, after every showing that he took me on. And one of the negative impacts of being a transactional realtor is that the client feels like just a number, you know, that we don't feel important to that agent. There's no long-term trust, and also there's missed opportunities for better outcomes in the future. The paycheck-driven realtor. So here are the core behaviors of realtors who exhibit this type of personality. They're motivated primarily by commission. They're pushing deals through that may not suit clients. So something you may or may not know about me is I take a great deal of time getting to know the client, because in this business, it's all about representation. So in representing, you need to know who your client is and what their needs and wants are in order for you to then be able to guide them down the right path. And not afraid to tell people, this is not the right home for you for the following reasons, and reminding the client of what we spoke about in our very first meeting. Prioritizes speed over quality service or quality advice. So early on in my career, I hired a coach to help me with my business. And unfortunately, her way of coaching me was to only spend 30 minutes with each client, then go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And for me, that wasn't something that felt comfortable for me. So I decided not to continue my coaching with her. And I went without a coach for a number of years before I found the right coach. And that coach told me, spend as much time as needed to get to know your client. And I think that is what sets me apart from this type of paycheck-driven realtor. The resulting impact of this type of realtor is that clients will make poor decisions. They won't write you a Google review, right, Kat? Because they had a negative experience, or they might write you a negative review, and then you, in turn, have to respond to that, right? Also, your trust is damaged, and your reputation will suffer over time because you won't get residual business from that one client. The lack of accountability. So here's the scenario. Property damage occurs during a showing. Agent denies responsibility. Last year, I had an experience where an agent went in and showed one of my condo listings to his clients, two brothers. Now, I don't know exactly who created the damage, but it was either the agent or one of the two buyers. But when my clients returned home after the showing, they learned that their silhouette blind, silhouette blinds are very expensive and they're custom for the window. So they would cost several thousands of dollars. When they came home, they discovered that it was broken. And before the showing, it was not broken because I know my clients extremely well, and I know that everything is in its place. And if there was anything out of place, they would fix it. So my clients called me and they were very upset. And then in turn, I called the agent and I asked what happened there. And the agent made some excuse and said, the blinds were not up. The house was not ready for us to view it. And we tried to open the blind. So anyway, at the end of the day, the blind was broken. And after speaking with the agent, I let him know that he is responsible, he or his client is responsible to pay for a new blind. But again, a little bit back and forth, the agent was in denial and ended up not paying for it. So I felt terrible. So I offered to pay for it for my sellers, who also felt terrible because they knew it wasn't my fault directly. So we decided to just pay 50-50 each, just to resolve the issue, because we are not able to show a property with a broken blind. It just shows other buyers who are visiting that the sellers are not responsible, So anyway, that is a lack of accountability. So that happened last year. Broken promises. Here's the scenario. The agent promises to help cover a repair. The deal closes, but the promise is not fulfilled. So this also happened last year. One of my clients was in multiple offers, and we offered well over the listed price because we knew it was a hot property in a hot area, and we needed to block other buyers from offering. So we offered what we offered, and we only gave the seller 2 hours to accept our offer. Now, during the home inspection for my buyers, it was discovered that there was something missing in the attic. And my clients kept dwelling over it because they were paying a lot of money for the house that they were buying. So the listing agent says to me, Wendy, why don't you and I cover the cost to have that material installed into the attic for your client so that we can move this deal forward and then both parties are happy. So I then conveyed this information to my sellers, who were happy that myself and the other agent were going to pay for a small repair. So we went ahead with the deal and it closed last year. This year, my clients reached out and they said, we're ready to have that repair done. So can we do that? I reached out to the other agent about a week ago and I hadn't heard back. And then I followed up with a phone call, followed up with a text. And then finally, after a week, yesterday, I received a text from the agent that, this happened last year. The contractor I was thinking about has already moved on. We should have done it earlier. So I responded to the agent. We promised the client at that time that we were going to cover the cost of that. Please let me know if you're going to chip in or if I'm going to take it on by myself. So I haven't received a response yet from the agent, but again, I know this agent has a lot of listings, a lot of clients, but in my opinion, if a promise is made to a client, even if it's not directly your client, I believe that you need to do the right thing and you need to fulfill that promise. So I'll let you know what happens, but at the end of the day, the repair will happen and it will be paid for, not by the client, but either by myself or split with the other agent. So these are a lot of things that often happen in the background. And I just wanted to bring that to the forefront, just to sort of enlighten you that, not every transaction or not every deal has a level of integrity that we would hope for. So what is the cost of poor integrity? Well, obviously a loss of referrals and repeat clients. For me, that's not going to be an issue because I'm always going to do the right thing. If I'm going to make a promise, I'm going to follow through with it. And I would hope that somebody else would do that as well. We don't want any increased disputes or legal issues happening. You will also damage your professional reputation. So for me, the agents that have shown less integrity are going to be on my blacklist because I'm going to be very sure that the next time that I have a transaction with them, that I make sure that I get everything in writing rather than verbally, because that was a verbal promise that was made to us. It wasn't in writing. I didn't feel it was necessary because it was something shared by two professionals. So what clients deserve? Clients deserve honest and clear advice, full transparency in negotiations, respect for their property, and professionals who keep their word. The standard that we must uphold must always act in the client's best interest. We all know that we're all business people. Take responsibility for mistakes. You know what? Mistakes happen. It's okay. Just take care of it. Take ownership. Communicate openly and honestly and honor every commitment that you make. Real world lessons. Integrity is always tested in very difficult situations. Clients remember how you made them feel. Small actions define your reputation, and trust takes years to build and seconds to lose. We should all reflect on our professional standards. Encourage higher standards in others. Hold yourself accountable. Be the agent that clients can truly trust. And in closing, integrity is doing the right thing even when it costs you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Does
Thank
anybody have a
you.
question? Does anybody have a question for Wendy? Go for it, Sam.
Hi, Wendy. Great
Hi, Sam.
presentation as usual.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk about what's going on. I guess the potential changes from I think it's blind bidding that goes on today to open bidding when it comes to properties. I certainly understand the concerns about blind bidding. They think something's going on in Quebec right now where people were putting in fake offers and things like that to drive up the price. But what do you see, if anything, on open bidding? Are there any concerns when it comes to open bidding and potential issues there?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sam, and it's good timing that this is all happening. So, unfortunately, I can't speak to the Quebec real estate because I'm not licensed there, so I don't completely follow all that. But in Ontario, back in the days of I believe it was 2021, 2022, there was a company called Unreserved. You might have seen it, and they started this whole trend of being able to bid, okay? And I would download the app because you can bid on the app, but you don't know who the other bidders are. So I had the experience of representing a buyer who wanted to bid on a home that was listed by Unreserved. And what ended up happening was we lost by about $1,500. Now, we weren't even sure who was making all the bids, but you can see them coming in, sort of like I guess if you're gambling or something, I don't know, like on those boards, like the bids are going in. I don't really, or at the stock market. I don't know how it really works, Sam, but I can definitely see how the public and also licensed realtors, we were getting very skeptical about this system. I want to go back to traditional old school. Let's just present offers, but we need to also register the offer where we have the client sign an additional document that states the time and how we're going to present the offer, so that everything has to be signed back and forth. Nothing can be verbal. So I find that with bidding, if it's done online, there's always going to be a suspicion that there are fake bidders that are entering in, and it could be the company itself. We don't know. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm very old school. I want to make sure that I'm talking to the agent. I'm learning if there's other offers. Who are the offers coming from the listing agent or their office? You know, and I want to know how many offers are being presented so that then I can advise my client accordingly. So yeah, there is suspicion when it comes to blind bidding, but at the moment, Sam, there's not enough policing of that in our industry, unfortunately.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The other thing about blind bidding, Wendy, is that as long as somebody outbids the fake bidder, then it's never discovered. But if the fake bidder ends up being the last one, and then it seems like, okay, the deal is over, but yet a short time later, the house is up for sale again, like it says, well, what happened? I thought that was sold. Yeah, so yeah, that's where integrity really comes in, and it's like it's not the best.
Absolutely, and even though I'm part of organized real estate, even within our board, there's always something going on. So integrity is something that is not commonplace in some ways, especially if there's an individual or a party who has a bigger financial gain. It's unfortunate. It's a little bit of a greed that I see happening, where people just want to see things happen at all costs. And the cost is to our reputation and to, a level of integrity. And I don't want my clients to lose faith, in the industry and in our professional service that we provide. And so, I'm not afraid, because I get to know my clients extremely well. I'm very honest and open with them. And, if something happens, I will tell them. And I'm not telling them to make them feel bad. I'm telling them to bring awareness, that things do happen, but I am here to protect you and take you to the finish line at all costs. So you don't have to worry about anything. Everything will be taken care of.
Yeah, Wendy, my mom just walked by and she wanted to say hi.
Oh,
Wendy was the
okay.
one that sold my mom's condo last year. So she says, "Hey, I know her."
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tony.
so yeah, thank you for that. That was great. It's the condo market was very tough, and it still is, I think, to sell a condo. So yeah, Wendy was amazing. We did it in 12 days. That was so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Any other questions for Wendy? So, Wendy, does it get more complicated if you are dealing with a freestanding structure or duplex, triplex, or some people out in the valley like to have trailer park type homes? Are there any of these things that offer, any types of property that there's always going to be a higher potential for? That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's interesting. I look at every client. I personalize every single experience I have with every client, depending on what they're looking for. In fact, I've even turned people away from even selling. I think I shared with you guys a couple years ago. I had this lady, and I met her and her husband many, many years ago, and now she was a widow. But she went online and she was being catfished, 100%. Okay, she was being catfished by an individual who said he was in another country or whatever. It was all fake, and I knew it was fake because I watched these programs and I kind of saw the clues. Anyway, she was completely convinced that this man was completely in love with her, and she's already been sending him money. And I said, you must stop this, because I knew she didn't have a pension, and they knew that all her equity, all her money rested in the place she lived in. But she was calling me over. She wanted to sell her townhouse to be able to send him the money. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not condoning this. You are making a mistake. And sure enough, we went down the road. She never even met the person, but she's been sending him money, and she believed that he loved her. At the end of the day, I stopped her from doing that, and I was hoping that I would be able to help her when it was time. But anyway, she chose somebody else to work with in the end, a couple of years later. But I don't know if it was also to sell her place and then send the money overseas to this person who she thought was in love with her. But again, you know what? I felt okay about that, because at the end of the day, you know, I was trying to help another human being not make a mistake and lose everything, because those stories are a little bit more, you see this scenario happening a little bit more and more, right? People get scammed all the time. So I didn't want it to happen to this person. But again, you know, I'm not afraid to be very honest and open with people. I don't take every listing. I don't take on every buyer. It depends on if we line up together, then we're definitely a powerhouse. You know, we're going to go forward, and we're going to be able to do something wonderful together. But yeah, so you know what, Bernie, it really depends on what the client wants and needs, but also getting to know them and understanding the bigger picture, and helping them to, you know, maybe steering them in a direction that might not be what they even thought about, but they would consider it because it makes more sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're at a wrap, so I'll do the closing quote. A man chasing two rabbits ends up hungry. A wise man grows carrots. Courtesy of Confucius, old Chinese wisdom, hard at work.